What I think we need to do, we can hash this out all night, but I think what we need to do as a board is give some directive as to what we wanna do and how we wanna do it. Put it in perspective to what we wanna do. Rather than go out to bid as a package like we have now.
I'm gonna say
Let's
something
start
else
looking
here.
at what we wanna do with this.
While I'm thinking, I'm saying if we hire a contract engineer dude, he's gonna pay his pay with energy savings. He's gonna pay his pay with that.
Anybody that works in those roles is worth their weight in gold.
If they're good.
If they're good.
If they're good.
And so you get what you pay for. But I can tell you that, I think we're really, that's why I said, when a board starts to look at things, they keep asking the questions why and why and why. And I think if we ultimately get to the point where, if the solution to the big problem is that we want somebody in that capacity, then I think this whole thing gets tapered. What we do in the other schools is a different story. I'm talking about what we do up here. Because if you're going to put somebody in charge up here, which I think is a great idea, I've said that all along. I just am not an advocate of paying some company to manage contracts that we can manage. Once he's in place, then go out to bid. Let him sink his teeth in here for a little bit and say, this is what I need. I need a cleaning company to do this.
Yep.
I need a service maintenance contracts. Look at what let him tell us, hey, you guys spend, look at all this money we're spending on HVAC, stuff that should have been general maintenance once a year, change all the filters, do the belts, do everything, pay, $3,000 or $5,000, pick a number. And then you say, well, geez, it sounds like a lot. Yeah, but you know what? Because we do that maintenance every year, we don't spend $20,000 a handler. We don't have pipes bursting that are raining down in the staff room up on the second floor. So, I think if the decision is to go with someone like that, I'd be the advocate for that. Then you build underneath them all these other things that we're talking about. But the bids, as far as what's going on in the other schools, that's a separate deal.
You might.
But I also think that it's important that we get some numbers together and look at what it would cost us for the other schools. What it would cost us to have our own.
No, I'm just talking about.
No, I'm just saying,
the cleaning up here.
The reason why we're having this is to come out with what we need to do. You know what I mean? So, this is one entity, the other schools are other entities. You know what I mean? I think
Joe's
we can do.
We needed to ask Joe then, you see, don't lose that confused two things. One is a central issue and one's a district-wide issue. The district-wide issue is that you want finance to take a look at what's everything, quote, service-related as it relates to HVAC. And we want to put that, is that a biddable item? Can we say belts, fans, we could say, because we know exactly what kind of HVAC units are in all these buildings, we can put together a very clear spec that says, Tuttle School, here's the filter numbers, here's the belts, here's the basic things that happen in this.
What I was even talking about, John, was the cleaning contracts. What I'm saying is, certain schools, our own people clean them. Okay, they don't have a cleaning contract. Well, if we can do it in one school, what's the feasibility of doing it in all the schools? You follow me? Find out what it costs what it would cost per school to have our own people doing it, rather than have an outside contractor doing it. Where they're help, you know what I'm saying? It's something to look at.
You can send them to school too if you.
I mean, how hard is it to put floors?
It's not hard, but I can tell you that if I was going to advocate that, then I'd need to be able to sit down with the union.
Oh, no.
Because
of course.
One of the things, the only way I see something like that working is, I say that you have a system-wide, I need part-time workers, okay? Part-time workers, why? Because you know what, I want a van here and I want floor buffing equipment. Those guys, every day of the week, they're gonna be here, they're gonna be here, they're gonna be, so they may not go to one location. And when we talked to the union about this before, because they've been advocating doing it themselves all along. The problem is that they don't want to give.
Well,
as soon as, and I said, guys, I'll go and support, because there'd be nothing better than to be able to knock on a door and say, Maryland's in charge. Maryland, what's going on? The floors are dirty. You're in charge. This is your building. Okay? I can knock on your door and you're fully responsible. Not from the floor to the ceiling and everything in between. The whole the
But
whole
I
package.
think that's an avenue that we should be looking at.
And I agree with you, but the problem is every time you talk to the union about supporting them and helping them to get this done, they don't want to talk about their contract. And the things that you can't have in there are minimum work hours and guaranteed work overtime and all
But you
that.
know what, are we not in contract negotiations right now with them?
Yeah.
This is the perfect time to do it.
Okay.
Well, we've discussed it.
There's been dialogue.
There's been dialogue and they're not budging.
I can tell you, that's
Yeah,
the
but
one.
they don't know what we're talking about.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
no, they
Oh,
do.
yeah,
Do they know that we're thinking about maybe having them do
I've
all the
asked them,
schools?
I've asked them
I
for the
threw a
10 years
carrot
that I've
out
been
there
on the
and
board.
said this building.
They know.
They know. And here's the problem,
But the
right?
reason they're not here to begin is because when we costed out what it would cost us to keep this
Yep.
building open in the night hours and everything else, with their contract, it would be so cost prohibitive. These guys would be charging us overtime, and for every 100 people, they need another body and plus the cleaning. So you need a mini army here.
Based on the contract, and it's, here it is.
I'd
Like,
love
for
to,
example, Hayes School, not
Get
Hayes.
some language in the contract, and I will bring it up to them the next time I meet one more time. I think we're only gonna meet one more time before we start setting dates for mediation and arbitration. I think we already have set the dates.
Overbrook School, okay? Just the overtime right there. And these are the things that bother me, okay? Overbrook School, you're paying, think, the overtime in Overbrook School is a result of, and now it's offset because it's paid for by Little Jackets, okay? But you would think that given the amount of overtime that's paid,
It's just a job in itself.
that it would, $1,600 a month, okay? But the custodians don't believe that that overtime is clean time. They're being paid to be there to open and close the building.
Oh, yeah, I know.
They're all like that, not just Hayes.
I'm sorry, bottom line is, if I'm paying a custodian to be in a building, you're
Please
clean.
will do something.
Well, it's like.
So
Sundays.
schedule your time around certain rooms so that, you know what, you're vacuuming every night. You're doing everything every night because you have the time, and for that money. That's why I was saying that you need to be able to address the contracts and say, wait a minute. Just because I'm running a program in there, I have to pay, that's what, $18,000 a year? Or, no, not quite 15, because it's not in the off months, but let's say $15,000 a year. To just because I house Little Jackets in that building. That's just absurd to me. But, based on the contracts, get no choice.
Well, what are you doing at the middle school right now, every Sunday? Vinny's there, there's one custodian. They got a church thing going on, there's another custodian. In
But,
the meantime, what are those two custodians doing?
but the
Why
contracts
you open the door?
are based,
Watching the games.
but how long have you been around? These are all based on
I'm just
the
saying.
number of people that'll be in the building, so if there's 299, and I don't know what the number is in the contract, but one more, you get another person. Okay? That was my beef up here, was that when we run state tournament games or whatever, and we're billing these people have a legitimate gripe. You know what? I'm paying X amount of dollars to have a tournament game here. I don't want to walk into a bathroom that's
No toilet paper.
with no toilet paper,
Or
or
paper
that
towels.
it looks like a wreck. You know what? Because in my price, you should be cleaning that bathroom. I don't care if somebody's in and out or has to stay in that bathroom. But for the price I'm paying,
That's right.
it should be clean. Those are the problems that are a little smaller because, this is the biggest school we've got. I mean, we don't have anything that's this big, but they're just the same problem, but on a smaller basis in the other schools. And so I would love to have a situation where you give me a second tier wage like we got in the cafeteria, where I can hire part-time workers for, a little better than minimum wage, okay, that are gonna come in and they're maybe, for the month of February, every other month, their sole function is they strip and buff floors in all the schools. As soon as they finish one floor in a school, they go to the next one, they go to the next one, they go to the next one. Minimum guaranteed work hours. That's a killer. You get an emergency call at Mogwin School. There's 4 hours, 2 people, the boiler goes, I gotta pay, can't just send the HVAC, I gotta send the boss, and